Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hockey Night in Australia. I'm your host, Sean O'Connor, and tonight I am joined by my ever-present sidekick here, Court. How you going?
Good. Another few interesting storylines coming out of hockey this week, so it'll be fun to chat about them.
100%. You're looking much better than you were last week. You're feeling a bit better?
Yeah, look, being sick for 3 weeks is more than enough, so definitely a lot better tonight than I was last week.
That's good. And our special guest this week, Alex Rossy Ross. How you going?
I'm really good, thank you. I've been watching from afar, but I'm very honoured to be here. So thank you very much for having me.
So, in case anyone doesn't know, Rossi is one of the leads of the Slapshot Syndicate over in the UK, and you're following the AIHL for the first year, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I think we can kick off things with a little bit about yourself, Rossi. Court, did you want to begin?
Yeah. So we were just talking a little bit off air about it, but for those that haven't met you, how did you get into hockey, and how did you hear about the AIHL?
So in terms of hockey, that's a bit of a funny story, really. So as part of the Slapshot Syndicate, one of my co-hosts, Brad, I've been friends with him since we were early school years. He and a couple of friends had told me about ice hockey in Hull. I'd never heard of ice hockey before. I can't believe it now, but yeah, I'd never watched ice hockey. And we just took a chance on a game, really. It was the first year of the Hull franchise where I'm from. Went in December, and I don't think me and Brad have missed more than 3 or 4 games each since. In terms of the AIHL, it got to the end of this season, so I'm now 5 years into watching Hull, and every year it's been horrible sitting through the summer waiting for our season to come back round in September. But through our podcast, I've met someone really who I really appreciate, who I'll call a friend now, called Anthony Russell, that you guys will know. And yeah, he mentioned to me about Australian hockey last year. It was a bit later on in the season, I think, so I thought I'll maybe try it next year. But yeah, this season he messaged me in about, I'd say, March, and say, are we going to take a chance this year? And here I am.
Love it.
That is awesome.
It's so good.
We just got a couple of comments here before we go on to the next question. Hope you're feeling better, Courtney, from G. And George, love all the English people coming across. Yeah, it's been a real thing this year. There seems to be a lot more British people watching the AIHL and following from afar. Have you felt that over there, Rossi?
Absolutely. So obviously, with me getting involved with the bits and bobs, it's been really nice to sort of get involved with you guys and the players, obviously, that we've been doing the interviews with, as well as the social media. But yeah, it's crazy how many people come out of the woodwork from the people that follow us and say, oh, I follow the AIHL, I'm an Adrenaline fan, oh, I'm a Mustangs fan. And it's like, where's this been all this time? It's such a shame, really, that it sort of takes us to do that, for people to come out of the woodworks, and there's not more of a collective, like, big group in England, really, because it'd be great for us all to have a big community and to celebrate the AI, because it's an amazing league. And yeah, like, that's, I guess, essentially that's kind of a little bit of what I'm trying to do at the moment, is try and raise the profile and things like that. But I'm not really having to, really, because there's people coming to me every week saying, oh, I love the AI, oh, I'm a massive Brisbane fan and things. So yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome. Anthony Russell here saying, I am responsible for all bad choices.
Very true.
I think it's happening a bit broadly too. Even North America, I'm on Threads, and so I work with the North Stars, and there's just so many people who are in that Threads community, especially, just going, I miss hockey. We've had draft, I want hockey back, and we're all like, the admins of all of the teams are getting in there and being like, hey, we can help you, we'll keep you occupied. So I want, to me, I think it's just part of as social media expands, as platforms expand, like what we all do with podcasts and talking about it, it feels like we're in this new sort of chapter of people finding out and how they can find out, because it's more than just having a website and having, we've got better streams than we've ever had before, and it all contributes, really.
Yeah, 100% it does. I think as well, I think now is a great time to get like to jump on the bandwagon sort of thing. From the players I've spoke to as well, they've said that the league's never been better. And again, ultimately, we want hockey all the way around the year, don't we? And I can't sort of stress enough how amazing the timing of the AIHL season is. Like by the time the AI finishes, a week later it's pre-season again, so you're not missing out at all. And again, the one thing that I always say to everybody is that even if you went and watched one game on the AIHL, over here it costs, I'd say, about £2.50, which is less than a cup of coffee. Like this weekend, obviously there's some massive games, and for those people I know who still aren't watching, I know the exact game that I'm going to say. If you go and pay for that game and don't enjoy it, I'll give you your money back, because I know that they'll watch it and they'll love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So obviously you run the Slapshot Syndicate with a couple of others, correct?
That's right, yeah.
So for people who don't know, how did you start up that podcast, and what is like the kind of media landscape around there for hockey in the UK?
The way we started was by just yapping and yapping and yapping in the stands, I'd say. Before us, there was only really one podcast for our league, which are called Macca's Talk Hockey. They're all great guys. And basically what they do is they just do a weekly show talking about the league. And it was something that we'd really been interested to. So we spoke about it for a little while, and then at Christmas time we just gave it a punt really and sort of put an episode out, and it did really well. So we just carried on, and that was the way it worked really. What we tend to do is we start off our show by doing like a little recap of our team, the Hull Seahawks, about how their weekend was. Then we move on to around the league. We used to do a big talking point, but it got to the point where we was trying to just pluck random things out of the air. So that
it can be like that sometimes.
Yeah, and then in the end, we sort of preview the next fixtures, but we've evolved over time. The big talking point has gone now, and we've got a little bit of a predictor. So what we do is we have like a predictor league where we'll predict all of the games and things like that and get points. And at the end of the season, we get a punishment. And I was sadly the person who received the punishment despite it being my idea. So it's funny how things work out, isn't it?
Yes, Anthony did mention this to us beforehand. So he actually asked a couple of things. He wanted to know what is it about this? What is it? Podcast Shed? I don't know anything about a podcast shed. And how was it to wear a Leeds jersey to playoffs?
The Podcast Shed, it's true. So when we're trying to work out the logistics of how we was going to do the podcast, Brad, one of my co-hosts, said, "Oh, we could do it in my shed. Essentially, it's a brick shed, but it's converted out. It looks quite nice and stuff like that. It's got like a little bar in there." Anthony famously calls it the Podcast Shed. We prefer to call it our studio, but it's definitely more of a shed than a studio. So, but yeah, no. So it's essentially we're broadcasting from a shed, but I think that sort of makes it a little bit different as well. Like the fact that we all meet up, we're all in person, and we can all do that in chat. We really enjoy that, and actually. We've been lucky enough to have a Hull Seahawks player come down to Brad's house when Brad was on holiday, ironically, and I interviewed him in Brad's shed. So he seemed to enjoy it, so it was okay. And the Leeds story. So I came up with the idea of doing the predictor along with the other guys. We thought it'd be a real good idea. I did really well up until the last couple of months and just bottled it essentially. Was always within a distance of each other. But my punishment was that throughout the course of our playoff weekend, the boys were just going to do random things to embarrass me or make me look like an idiot, which doesn't take much. And one of those was getting one of the fans from our direct rivals, like Hull fans and Leeds fans, don't like each other. And in the middle of the whole block, made me wear a Leeds United jersey. So, to answer the question, it wasn't a good feeling. I got many evil looks, many looks that were a little bit worse. A couple of harsh words said, but I'm a man of my word, so I had to stick by it.
That's awesome. Crazy stuff. predictor. Maybe we should start a predictor or something, Courtney. I reckon that's a cool idea.
Recommend it.
That's definitely interesting. I like it.
It would be I feel like it'd be a little more difficult in the AI there because again, some games can have 20 goals in there, can't they?
Yeah, it's true, and I would say the AIHL can be one of the hardest leagues to ever predict.
100%.
Because just one team performs one week and just doesn't perform the next, so you just never know what's going to happen, and it is so close for so many teams.
Yeah.
All right, so okay, so obviously you've been watching the AHL this year. Have you chosen a team?
I have chosen a team. I think it'd be difficult for me not to choose a team based off how this team treat me, and the fact that I've watched, I want to say, 17 or 18 of the games in comparison to the others. I'm a bit of a nerd. I put like a little note on my phone of like a watch tracker of how many teams I've watched this season. I think Brisbane are the team I've watched like 17 or 18 times, and I think the next team closest to that are like the Ice Dogs or the Mustangs with about 6 or 7. So yeah, no, I think my allegiance is pretty set with the Lightning.
You said North Stars wrong.
Yeah. And you know what? Before the season, people were saying to me like, Newcastle North Stars, you're in the north of England. Newcastle in England's only an hour or two away from you. Like that's and ironically, I used to play for a Sunday League team, and our nickname were the Rhinos. So, I think it was written in the stars, wasn't it? But there is a reason why I chose the Lightning. So I promise I didn't just shrug the Rhinos off.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I did see on one of your videos that the Lightning did actually send you a jersey, so that's pretty cool.
They did. I've actually got it here as it's a little bit of a trophy, isn't it? So yeah, how could I not show this off? Unbelievable. I'm thousands and thousands of miles away, and I've got an AI jersey. How cool is that?
And what players on the back?
Oh, who else could it be? The man himself.
I like it.
And again, that's kind of, but he's kind of the reason why I followed the Lightning in the first place. So we had Zach on as one of the player interviews last season. Great guys, stayed in touch ever since. And funnily enough, at the start of the year, when I didn't have an allegiance to anybody, I put on our Instagram page, who does everybody follow? Who should we follow? And he replied, put in Brisbane. And I was like, oh, any reason? He said, because I'm going to be playing for him this season. I was like, oh, okay. and then another player in our league, Bear Genginov, was saying, support Brisbane. My cousin plays for them. So, there was a couple of reasons, really, that sent me in the Lightning's direction.
That's fair. And Batu had a really good game last weekend. And Zach's been phenomenal since arriving for the Lightning. It's funny. I remember looking up his stats over in the UK and going, oh yeah, he should be a pretty good solid D, but he's become a really offensive D over here.
Yeah,
I think he's moulded with the Brisbane way, hasn't he? Brisbane have had a positive effect on him, but yeah, very much like when he was in England, he was like the first line defenseman of course for the Basingstoke Bison. But I didn't have him down as someone who was carrying the puck, going end to end and putting it top shelf with backhands like he did, the week just past, even though he was playing forward. Yeah, I didn't have that at all. So it was a very big surprise, but a very welcome surprise, obviously, to see him doing as well as he has.
Yes, everyone in the chat, currently he's 19 games for 47 points, which is pretty phenomenal.
I think the last time I checked, he was 12th overall in the standings for points as a defenseman. It was crazy.
Yeah, and he's third overall for the Lightning this year in their point scorers. So the Lightning do have a lot of big point scorers, to be fair.
Yeah.
We'll get on to some of these comments on here. So Claire says, love that you've been watching so many games. And Brisbane for the win. Followed by a few people that are going, nah, the Dogs, Rhinos, obviously. And then, Sky saying, I do like the Lightning logo. It is quite a unique logo, and it's something they have refined over the few years that they've been in the league. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, gee, Schenker is amazing. Look, I don't think anyone could disagree.
Well,
He's a really big lad too.
Say that again, sorry?
He's a really big lad.
Yeah, he is a big lad, deceivingly, actually. You know, and I think one thing that we need to emphasise as well, that in terms of his defensive abilities, he is a really solid defenseman as well. You know, I think there was a bit of a clip that we put on our Instagram not too long ago of I think the hit that everybody knows, the one that I'm referring to, where he sort of hit, I can't remember which team it was against, but he hit someone centre ice and just floored them. Like, so I think that sort of emphasised, you know, that he isn't afraid to do both ends, really. So yeah, really, really solid, and obviously able to throw his weight around as well.
Yeah. Yeah, someone says on here, Brisbane are the hardest to predict. 10 goals one day, 0 the next.
Accurate.
Very true.
But yeah, so obviously you started getting into interviewing AIHL players really right from the get-go. How did you get the confidence to suddenly branch out and go, look, I want to reach out to guys on, you know, the other side of the world and start interviewing?
Ignorance, probably. Probably I'm not sure, to be honest with you. When over here, it's something that I really, really enjoy doing. So we call them Slapshot specials. It's mainly myself who does them, and then Brad and Azza, as a three, we do our separate Slapshot Syndicate episodes. Right. I've been doing them for quite a while now, and it's something that I do really, really enjoy doing. And then when I made the initial what is the AIHL video for fan base, I was a bit cheeky, and I just reached out to some players on Instagram, and I couldn't believe the reception that I got. There was so many players that was willing to help. I got a player from every team. Some 3 or 4 teams give me 2 players worth of content. Like, it was absolutely unbelievable, and they wanted nothing in return. I think it was obviously just to grow the league and to sort of raise the profile, which I thought was amazing, and it sort of gave me an insight as to how these guys are, and you know, they're all pushing in the right direction, which is one thing I really appreciate about the AI. It seems that everyone's sort of working in tandem to push it forward, which I think for other leagues is a struggling point. But yeah, in terms of reaching out to those initial players, they were so receptive. So I sort of jumped the gun really and shot my first shot with David D'Agostino, and I'm really glad I did, because what a guy! And that first AI interview that I did was amazing. I think it was about 11 p.m. here, and he'd just done the Sydney. There's like a Saturday morning Sydney run at 6 a.m. So yeah, he'd just done that, and then pulled up and sort of sat down at a bench, and I could see the background all like a beach, like Sydney beach. It looked amazing. He was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna get myself a drink," and you know, he was living the life. And I was sat here thinking, "It's raining here." But you know, it was so bizarre, but Dags was so receptive, and again, every player that I've spoke to has just been nothing but helpful. Obviously, we've done 6 interviews so far. I had to check my list there, but you know, I intend to do one for every team, and there's been multiple players who have said, you know, if you ever need any help with anything, or if you'd like me to come on, I'd be more than happy to. And yeah, it's brilliant. I really, really enjoy it, and it's something that I intend to do for the seasons going forward, really.
Yeah, awesome. I love it because you get to hear from players who a lot of people otherwise wouldn't get to listen to, and get to know about them a bit more. And they're all so varied. All your conversations are so varied. Like, you always start with people's careers, but they all go into tandems. Like the Brody Linder one, for instance, you know, getting into trading cards and stuff like this. And then, that very first one, like, really interesting to hear a guy who literally just sort of arrived in Australia. And, that real initial experience, like import experience over here, now I'm here. This is now my new life for the next number of months, whatever it is. But yeah.
It was really cool to sort of get his aspect as well, because maybe Dags was I loved the interview, and I think I wouldn't change it now, but I think it was definitely a tricky one coming in, because like you say, he didn't have any experience of playing in the AI, so it was sort of, that interview was sort of, an import arrives in a country and how what do they think about that, and maybe like a little bit of an introduction for him to the Ice Dogs fans. But yeah, going through each team and things like that, there's been, I think every interview's had something different. Where like Eddie, for example, was talking about his, the new training facilities and the company that the elite not the elite prospects, elite athletics that him and he's been bringing up, and even the one with Hiko, which still to my day is one of my favourite interviews that I've done. Period. Just because of how vulnerable he was, and was talking, and he was mentioning about his mental health and how Perth have helped him through that now, and he's found a home, and the struggles of not making it in America. In his words, I think his stats seem to be really good over there. But yeah,
but that pro hockey, obviously someone who had like a real want and desire to play big pro hockey, and then kind of having to then go through the steps of where you kind of have to move away from those initial dreams and go, okay, this is now what my life is, and then it changes again. Like and the whole fact that in pro hockey, like so many decisions are outside of your control.
Yeah, and like the part that's like pops into my brain when you say that is when he was actually returned to the AIHL League. I think when he was, I can't remember the team he was playing for now, but he said that there was like an amazing team, and for him, I think he said to himself he should have been enjoying it. He should have been really enjoying being a part of that. But it was a kind of team where you play one bad game and you're scratched. And he said it really took a big toll on him. And I think actually Perth giving him that opportunity to, re-find himself, express himself, and be this important player has just done him wonders.
From different players as well, especially import players who come over to Australia and they're like, oh, this league is so much fun to play in, because there isn't the same, I guess, grueling. There is expectations, but you have one bad game, you're not going to be, sent packing, right? Like
exactly,
you're going to be able to come out again and play again, and so it's got its unique place.
I think one thing that stems out to me as well is you guys, the teams, like it's really evident. It was very evident really early on how appreciative you guys are of your players, your teams, your admins, your social medias. Like everyone bands together. Everybody, like I don't think I'm yet to see a negative comment. And I know that sounds like a bold statement, but there's so much positivity. And for a player like Hiko or any of these guys that are coming in, moving to any country is difficult, right? Away from family and things like that. But I can 100% see why people stay around, and these imports are coming year after year after year, then getting the permanent residencies and things like that, just because of how positive the league is. And unfortunately, like my league, for example, I wouldn't say it's quite the opposite. There are lots and lots of fans who are very positive, but there's also people who are very quick to criticise and things like that. And I think one thing you've got to remember, that this is sport. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, obviously, but they're also human beings. And again, from my perspective, looking as an outsider into the AI, it seems that definitely that the players are really well looked after.
Yeah. So you're obviously going to, as you say, try and get at least one player from each team. Can you give our listeners any kind of, I guess, indication or a guess on who the next person will be?
I think Court will be happy with the next one.
Ah, nice.
I think Court will be very happy with the next one. And I think actually this guy, I'm going to go everywhere too much information here, right? It's fine. One of his teammates described him as the heartbeat of the team. I'll say that.
Ooh.
So
interesting. Well, guys, I'm happy for anyone in the comments to try and guess. But no, that sounds awesome. And your next interview will drop when?
Oh, that is a question. I'm actually going to. I'm going to do. So we recorded it a little earlier this week. He actually had a bit of like building work going on in his apartment, and yeah, it was a bit of a palaver of having to like rearrange and things like that with him, but it was great. So I have a little bit of a busy week as well. Me and Brad are going on holiday tomorrow because he's getting married this summer. But before we do that, I know that I'm going to edit it today and I'll upload it onto YouTube, so it's there and ready. So maybe this weekend.
Awesome.
There's like 3 people that I've heard that just like called that. So
who are those people? And if it's one of them, I'll tell you that you're in the right ballpark.
Well, straight away I would like, my first guess is Francis Drolet, because he's just the kind of guy to jump on and do that kind of an interview. And I've definitely heard people say that. But like even Bo Taylor, who's had a bit of time overseas, so they're probably my top 2, to be honest. It's okay if you don't comment.
So we've got a few comments here, and so been watching for a while as some of my fave US players come from the UK, and I love that you're now reaching out to Australian players. Yeah, it was cool because it was interesting. Like the first few you had, you obviously connected with some of the imports, and it was nice to see like Brody and then Casey Kabara last week as well. Some of the Australian players as well. It's interesting because they've got very different kinds of careers compared to the import players.
100%. And I think one thing I loved the most about speaking to Casey and Brody, but more so Casey, because of the longevity of how long he's been in the AI, is really delving into that. I think for the most point, in terms of the imports and things like that, the first part of the show has been like how they've got to the AI and how they experience it now. But Casey's was really interesting. When I did my research on him, I was like blown away, really. And then the added extra of him having 3 brothers, that was unbelievable. I had to do.
That's where you found the photo of all 4 brothers together.
It's funny that I didn't find it. Toby was really quick to jump on it and tell me the story about the penalties. He was like, Bailey started something in the corner, and of course the only one to not get a penalty was Casey. And I said, "Do you have a picture?" And he sent me 4 pictures. It was like, there you go.
Because you might not know this, Rossy, but it's actually kind of quite common to have brothers play together in the AIHL.
Oh,
but
nice.
to have 4 is unheard of.
I think, that to be fair, we've got a couple of sets of brothers over in England as well, and I think it is quite common. Maybe 2. Never really seen 3, but 4. And again, that family having 4 sort of premier athletes at ice hockey level in Australia is astounding, isn't it?
Yeah.
To me, I think they were the first siblings I knew about. I think there've been a lot that have come after them, but for me, they were sort of the first set of siblings. Because I think the Wardlaws the Wardlaws have 3.
Yeah.
Or are they 4?
I think they might be 3 or 4. Yeah. There's a lot of them.
The next generation.
Yeah. And there's 2 Moncriefs, and there's a few, but I feel like I never heard of any of them until after really a couple of seasons of the Kubara brothers. They were pretty iconic in my first couple of years of being in the AI.
I don't know if you remember it, Courtney, but do you remember the Byers brothers for Canberra?
No, that'll be before my time. My first season,
guys. One guy who was like, he was a defenseman, but he was, very level-headed, very, very sweet person. And then his brother Harry, he was a monster on the ice. He was like enforcer style. He's just out there. How many heads can I bang this game? He used to get like over 200 like penalty minutes for the season. So. Do have a couple more comments here. Love the Dags video from Melissa, which is great. All the players are so lovely here, and they really want to grow the league, which is super important. I think that is something that most people in the AHL want to do, mainly because our community is still quite small. I don't know how big is the ice hockey community in the UK.
Elite League is massive, and to be fair, our league is growing by the season, really. I think obviously with ice hockey growing as a sport in general everywhere, I think that's just sort of accounting towards, the popularity building everywhere and the standard getting better everywhere. But it's definitely bigger now than I would say it was 5 years ago in England. I think social media and the bits and bobs that's been put in the news and on the TV and stuff definitely accounted towards that. But yeah, no, and again, I think, sorry, we've had like increase of imports and things like that in our league. So more imports and more more of these characters and players puts more bums on seats, don't they?
Yeah. And I just find like when the community starts off quite small, most people know each other and most people all want to see a good outcome.
100%.
I mean, on that like thread of thought, I think one of the most I guess known people that have done that is Bert Malloy. He stepped away from Newcastle to go back to the Central Coast Rhinos and really build it from the ground up. And not only is he doing the captaining the AI team, but he is literally a ground up where he's in with the kids. He's out coaching and supporting even the state teams and the junior teams in our like on the East Coast over here. So yeah, I definitely recommend him to be on your list for a future interview, because he's so great to talk to and such an easy conversation. So yeah.
And what an experience for those kids as well, actually, having someone who they'll idolize. Like, again, when our league's a semi-professional league, and when the players walk by these little kids, they're like, they've got stars in their eye, and for him to be doing that and spending so much time with the kids, like, I know firsthand how much that means to the kids. And what an amazing, that's so amazing. I love hearing things like that.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I says any publicity is good publicity. The more we grow, the more we're likely to have better facilities. And don't we all need better facilities? I think that's probably something which we desperately need in Australia, and I'm sure that's the same in the UK. Because I know it's interesting. I know a lot of I've talked about this with Anthony before too, that a lot of the top teams from the elite league in the UK tend to have. They use like these massive arenas, which they obviously, it's not just for hockey, it's also other things too. But I'm sure in the lower leagues, that's not the case. And you've got a lot of very old facilities as well as probably some modern, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. More like concert venues than anything, and then they'll put this synthetic ice down. Not synthetic ice, but when you see the like time lapses of like where they're individually putting the jigsaw together of the ice hockey rink, like very much like that. Sheffield, one of the elite league team that's closest to me, do that. So the arena they play out of, they regularly have these big artists coming over and things like that. They're not actually hockey built arenas. And yeah, you're 100% right. Like in our league, there was a team called Basingstoke, who actually is Anthony's favourite side. They had to leave the league for a couple of seasons just because their ice rink was so old and needed so many repairs. And it's such a shame, really, that there's not more money and funds and things like that put into it. Hopefully, with the game growing, those who control that sort of thing can sort of look towards that. But yeah, no, definitely that is the case. The elite sides, Manchester are a great example of that. They've just moved it back into the AIS arena, I think. And again, that's another concert venue. So yeah, it's a shame really, because it seems that the teams in the elite league who've got a lot of money can do that, but if you're a semi-professional side who are struggling to house players and not filling all 5 import slots, you don't have the excess money to then be doing repairs as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do have more comments on here? We've got heaps of comments coming through. Way too many. Basingstoke had so much green mold on the walls that it all ended up into COVID. Oh, wow. And I did like this. Doogie does say, were there any games played last week? There was games played last week, and I think we can move to that in a second. The last thing I wanted to touch on with the interview section of this, Rossy, was obviously you've now been watching the AIHL for the season. It's coming up to finals, coming towards the end of the season. Do you reckon you'll be back next year?
I'll have to have a think about it, maybe. Nah, of course I am. Of course I am. I'm the kind of person who once I've got my head in something, it sticks. And yeah, no, Brisbane and the AI definitely have a fan of myself for life. And again, not just Brisbane. Like I've been following a few teams. I think I've been following the Ice Dogs because of Dags early on. He sort of gave me the first sort of foot in the door, and I think because Anthony told me that he was an Ice fan, something in my brain was like, well, I'll follow the Mustangs then. For some reason, that's just the combative British nature, I think. But no, there's so many great teams, and I think one of the beauty of the league is you can put any game on. Like I'm really looking forward to. I don't want to ruin it because I think we'll be talking about it shortly. But there's one game this weekend which is. There's nothing that's going to stop me watching that game. Yeah, and any game's amazing. There's never a bad game in the AI. So yeah, I'll definitely be returning for next year.
This is true. Alrighty. All right, let's look at the review from last weekend. Obviously, there were some big games, big moments happening. Courtney, what game caught your eye the most last weekend, and who stood out for you during the weekend?
Well, obviously the game I attended was North Stars, and Adelaide looked pretty good at the start. There were a few of us that were feeling a bit nervous in the first period. Like we did go to the break 1-0 up, and then they got one in the second, and it was a bit like, are they about to turn this game on its head? And like it was good. Newcastle stayed on top, but noticeably, my thing I noticed. Not so much someone that was there, but someone that wasn't there, which was Darcy Flanagan. That's been a bit of a topic of conversation. So, a little bit more turmoil for Adelaide. But, I think the game that surprised me would be the Bears Melbourne Ice. I did watch a couple of periods of that, and the Bears were so flat. And I actually thought they would have played a lot better against the Ice, who haven't had a consistent season. But I just, even if Ice was Ice obviously won, but I just thought the Bears just lost something there. And I think sort of Saturday was the hot day because then the Rhinos beating the Ice Dogs. It was like those three games just kind of shook me a little bit. So, I love seeing the Rhinos just have a little bit of a fight, but Saturday was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think that things went quite to script for all the games, on the weekend. There were definitely games which were impacting how the finals is going to be looking like. Yeah, I must agree with the Bears. I was disappointed to see them not firing all guns. I thought, they're in a good position. They've got to make sure they stay there. They're only just ahead of the other teams, and they just seemed very flat both games. Just two big losses. How do you pick yourself up from that because they got more big games coming up this weekend, so they've got to get themselves back on because now they're behind the Ice in the standings.
Which is definitely not what I expected to see. I thought, Ice Dogs and Bears getting wins, Mustangs getting the win on the Derby, were like all those things would have just made the Ice breaking the top six so much harder. And then it all got flipped on its head.
Yes. And we got this here. The lower clubs might not make it, but they can still shake stuff up. And we saw that as well. You touched on it before. The Rhinos getting the victory on Saturday over the Ice Dogs. That was a massive blow for the Ice Dogs. And that was a really close game. But, an unbelievable result for the Rhinos that really keeps their season alive. Like, they're still off the pace, but they're just, they're keeping themselves there.
But it's exactly why anyone that's in that bottom four that's not in the top six, they actually become very dangerous because they know they can cause upset. They know that their goal shifts from making finals to we're going to stop someone else from making finals or we're going to stop someone else from making the top two. Like that's in the ballpark of their goals, and that can become very satisfying. And it's really important for those teams in the top six, if they're coming up against any of those teams, not to underestimate just how much of an effect they can have.
Yeah, Stoogie does say on here, Rhinos are only 2 wins outside of the top 6, and that's true. Like, they're now right in the conversation again, which is what they needed. Because they've had some disappointing results of late, so to get back into winning ways is pretty great for them. And it was, on a personal level, it was good to see Danny Bouchard get scoring again, because he finally had his, like the week before, he finally had his first game of the season where he didn't score any points.
Yeah. He found a way around.
He's not going to go on a cold streak. He's going to go right back to being on a heater. So that's good. Rossy, any games that you watched that stood out for you?
I watched the Brisbane game and the Canberra game. After the first, I think Canberra did really well in the first period to sort of control the game, and then Brisbane sort of had a little rush in the last 5 minutes where they just found the feet. And Herbert, he missed a penalty shot as well in the first period. I think Brisbane was sort of leaning towards the attitude of here we go again kind of thing. But right at the end, Shankar got a goal on it, and then they just kept going, and they went in 3-2. Really, really good. But Canberra sort of showed why they are where they are in the standings sort of thing. It was a really, really good professional performance by them. And I think Canberra are one of those sides as well where it's really clear straight away what their identity is. They play really good hockey, they play smart hockey, they play simple hockey at times, and they punish teams based off their mistakes. Unfortunately, they came back 5-5, and then Brisbane went. They came back, and then Brisbane went ahead again, and it was like, we could still be in for this. But ultimately, Canberra showed why they are as good as they are, really.
Yeah. It is interesting because it's, very different to how Canberra was sort of towards the early part of the season. So they do seem a team that when they get onto a heater and get some momentum building, they can really punish a lot of teams and really, work their way up the standings, which is what they've done. So they're definitely looking very good right now, sort of towards the right end of the season.
One thing that stood out for me about Canberra as well, I think you guys posted this put something about this on social media, but they're not a one-man team. They've got so many different players where they can get points from, and they've got those figures that are spearheading it in the middle, like Casey Kabara, for example. Like we spoke about him earlier, but he doesn't have to get 3, 4, 5 points a night because he's one of those players that you look at the game sheet and he'll maybe have 1 or 2 points. You think, he's had a good game, but actually he's orchestrated the full performance.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like I look at the Canberra lineup at the moment and they're now getting a lot of their big guns really firing. So whether that be Bates, Ratcliffe, Kanich, Malin, Casey Kabara, it doesn't really matter. They're all sharing the points. They're all either assisting or getting on the end. It's becoming a very dangerous team to play.
It was a really good, they showed really, really good signs. I felt for Brisbane really because obviously there was without Hops and Barnes this weekend. Congratulations to Hops, by the way. I think he got married this weekend, so congratulations to him. From what I've seen on Instagram, he posted Mrs. Hops or something, so I did send him a quick message to say congrats, and he said thanks. So I assume he's been married. I think obviously was missing Hops, who's been massive, and Barnes was away with. I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I think some sort of girls Australia hockey team or something like that. Is that right? Maybe not. Nationals, maybe. I think he was away from the commentary that I heard. He was away with some sort of competition or some sort of team coaching. Shankar to play forward. The lines were very mixed up, and I think as well that decor is very young. From what I've seen, you've got players like Neil Pretorius, who's going to be great, and Hunter Boland, who's really promising. But I do think that they could use Shankar in defence, for that experience and maybe a couple more for next season. But no, it was a shame because I think they gave it a real good go against Canberra, but obviously Canberra just shone through in terms of their professionalism, really.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Court, did you get a chance to watch this by any chance, or any other games other than the Newcastle game, or just the Newcastle game this week?
I watched a bit of the Bears game, but the Derby was the other one I watched on the Friday night, which was always fun. I was getting way too excited for the but to be fair, Mustangs coach was a North Star for a long time, so I don't feel guilty about supporting them when they're not playing us. When they're playing us, go away.
And he was successful as well on that derby. So, obviously the Mustangs took on the ice on Friday night, and the Mustangs painted the city orange, and they're the kings of Melbourne for 2026.
Yeah.
Big game. I think the ice would have been disappointed to have lost that game. They obviously, it was the first game back, for instance, that Booth had played for a little while, which was interesting.
I barely even noticed him. Like, as far as having him out there, he honestly I barely even noticed he was on the ice.
Yeah, it was really interesting because normally he's such an impactful player, like from last year and other games I've seen of him. But yeah, he just seemed to be a bit anonymous for most of this.
Yeah,
he left his elite league side as well in England.
5 players. Yeah.
Well, if there was injuries and things like that, rumours and things like that. So you almost wonder if he's back to 100%, because Anthony's told me about the how much of an impact he's made previously, and the stats don't lie, do they? So yeah, it's been a bit of a shock to see how he started, really.
Yeah. But, really good game, though, on the flip side for Brodie Crane, for instance, for the Mustangs. We talked so much of this season about the Mustangs being this, hit-miss team that would win one game, lose another, so they were splitting like almost every weekend. Mm-hmm. Now they're on, a 6-game winning streak. They've really got hot, and they're, storming home. Second in the table. I know they've played more games, but... a team really on the rise.
Sorry, Carl, I thought you was going to go there. I think Mustangs in general are just their brand of hockey is so refreshing. I really enjoy it. The go-at teams. I think one thing that I really appreciate about them, and something that when I first watched them earlier in the season, is they fear nobody. That there's no reason to fear anybody, and even though they've got noisy neighbours, I think that sort of gives them an extra emphasis to do that. But yeah, this weekend was a prime example of that, wasn't it? 6-2 against Melbourne. I think that'll give them an absolute huge boost, won't it, for the remainder of the season, to beat Melbourne the Ice in their series, and obviously that translated over to Sunday. Just to touch on Sydney as well, like they're in such a critical position in the table that they really needed some points this weekend, didn't they? So, but for the Mustangs, like I say, all you can do, even if you are 2-3 games ahead, all you can do is win the games that are presented to you. And this weekend, Brodie Crane and the crew have done that, haven't they?
Yeah,
they have. And one thing that really also stood out for me from that game as well was Noah Giesbrecht. He's a goaltender, import goaltender, who had big expectations, might not have lived up to quite the level that people were expecting of an import goaltender. But the last 4 games, he's got over 9.5 save percentage. Like, he's been on fire, and there's that translates into more wins coming along too. So good times for the Mustangs, but it wasn't all bad news for the Ice on the weekend. Like, they then backed up on the next day, and they got the win. They got them pushed back up in the top 6, which is obviously the ultimate goal that they're trying to get right now. They had this sort of late season surge strategy yet again this season, and at the moment it's a fine line, but they're on that bubble, but they're just inside.
They're definitely on the right side of where they want to be, aren't they? But they're looking over the shoulders now. I think the Bears have played the same game. I think they've both 23 games, right? And they're 1 point behind. So they've got some tough fixtures to come as well. So I think it'll be one that they're definitely thinking about.
Yeah, totally.
I won't lie. I was really hoping the Bears would win that game against the Mustangs, because it would have put the Bears on higher points and just made it that little bit harder for us to break the top 6. So now we've just got to get them back out of the top 6. Sorry, Ice fans. I mean, I've been very open that I don't like Ice. It's not new. It's not new.
I do want to give a good shout out though to Liam Webster, obviously first player in AHL history to break 400 games. They obviously had a presentation for him, which was really great to see. Always love to see players recognised for their achievements and milestones. So really an insane career that he has had. He's played every single ice season bar one, and he was there right from when they first started in 2002, and he's still going.
That's incredible.
But I just wanted to give that shout out for that. Obviously though, someone did mention before in the comments, and I just can't find where that is right now. But we obviously can also then move to the controversial game of the weekend, which was obviously the very last game of the weekend, which was the Ice Dogs versus Adelaide in Sydney at the Mac. It was an absolute cracker of a game. I absolutely loved watching this game. Both teams were just going at it. I don't think anyone quite saw how dominant Adelaide would be for a large portion of this. They outshot the Bears like crazy.
Yeah.
But saying that, the Ice Dogs were deadly. I looked on the special team stats afterwards because I'm like, they seem to score every time they were on special teams, and they scored 4 of 9 power plays and gave up no goals from 4 penalty kills.
That sort of sums up their game, though, doesn't it? Scoring 4 times on the power play and winning 5-3. I know you're going to get into the controversial bit in a second, but I think that's something that's translated throughout the 4 season, hasn't it? The Ice Dogs have been really, really good, and they've got those great individual players for their special teams. So they just consistently shine through, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's a winning strategy. Well, it has been relatively winning strategy for them this year. Make sure you get special teams down pat, and you give yourself a really good chance to win games in this league.
100%. It seems a massive shame for Adelaide, doesn't it, as well, with the situation that they're in. And I know, again, I keep teetering towards what we're going to talk about in a second, but being that close as well, like at this stage in the season, they're just going to be chasing those wins for their fans out there, continue to stick by them and come to the games and stuff. And
they were all up for it too. Like I was looking at the Adelaide players on the ice, and they were determined to be scoring goals and to try and win that game, and to stop the Ice Dogs from necessarily making it easy for them to make finals.
It was exactly the same the other week though when they played Brisbane. They lost 6-5 in Brisbane about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And when I saw the game, I thought, this is a great opportunity for Brisbane to, get back into some good form and things like that. Wasn't the case at all. Like Adelaide really, really went at Brisbane, and I admired it. Like the show's such character every time they go out. Like so many teams in that situation would just fold, and you'd see people with their heads down and giving it 50%. It just doesn't translate to me for Adelaide at all.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. They're definitely a team that doesn't matter what sort of turmoil they're in or what is happening outside. When they get put on the ice, most of the time, they are determined to put on a show and win. They don't want to lose. And I know it's been a tough season, but that's still the case. They don't want to lose any games. But,
I couldn't agree more. And Doogie says it in the comments. He's like, they were the better team over 60 minutes. So,
yeah, and he was calling that game, and I remember him talking during that game just how good Adelaide were playing. I think they feel a bit ripped off because they didn't get the victory to go with their effort.
Yeah.
But obviously there was less than 3 minutes to go. There was a massive call from the referees on ice not to give a goal to Adelaide when some Adelaide players had gone up celebrating. And then the Ice Dogs then took the puck down the other end, and Ivan Kulishov buried it to give themselves a 2-goal lead with 2 minutes 46 whatever it was seconds to go. Absolutely devastating for Adelaide. But a lot of people came out afterwards with very strong opinions, very strong words about yes, it's definitely a goal, or no, it wasn't. Rossy, did you see it? What did you think? Did you think it crossed the line? Did you think it was too hard to call, or it was, definitely not over the line? I don't. Yeah. What did you think?
Sadly, I didn't see the video, but I've seen many comments about the video, and I've seen many people say, I was in the stands and I've got middle-aged eyes, and even I could see that the puck crossed the line. I think was there also a video replay as well that showed the puck going across the line like that for Adelaide. It's again, I don't think they're going to be surging for that late sixth spot, are they? But after a season with such roller coaster ups and downs and things like that, it's just got to be such a sore one, hasn't it? Especially when it's there in picture. It's not hypothetical, is it? People aren't saying, oh, well, maybe it went in, maybe not. Like, the technology is there now to be able to take a step back and, as an official, maybe have a look at that and say, actually, we've made a mistake there, and then, go back to it. But no, I didn't see it, but I've seen many people aggrieved by it, which I think is a massive shame for Adelaide.
Court, what about you? Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did. Saw the many clips that appeared in the various fan groups and the many screenshots that people grabbed, and honestly, not one of them showed the puck clearly over the line.
Yeah,
all of them were on the red line.
Wow.
And
that's what I thought too. I thought, there doesn't seem to be clear enough anything to be able to go, oh, you could overturn a call. Not that we even have video replays for most games. I think only finals has video replays.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
until you can consistently do it for every single team at every single rink with all of the technology required, you can't do it for some and not others.
There's a lot of
create an element of it would be very unfair for teams who can do it versus teams who can't do it. So, at this point, it's the guys in Melbourne get the chance to try and test the technology and work on it and refine it. So then maybe eventually they can just go, here's exactly what you need and how you do it, and this is what we do at finals, and then just give that template to the productions that do the other games. But in this instance, the only real angle that you could look at it was the net cam. So that is rigged on the glass behind the net. So you've got a bit of space. You've probably got a meter or two between that line and the actual camera, and you're on an angle looking down. So your angle's not good for exactly where it is. You're counting on that official to be in the right position and looking in the right position. And it's been interesting. I certainly wouldn't call it controversial, given it's just not the word I would use. I think it created a bit of spice in the game for sure, but there wasn't a single clip I saw, even watching it on my phone and doing it really slowly, step by step.
I was doing the same.
There were the entire puck has to cross the line.
Yeah.
So even if it was 70% in the goal, it's still not a goal because that last little bit hasn't crossed. So
that's true.
Yeah.
You have to actually see ice, right? You have to see the white ice, right?
Yeah. And I do think the bit that becomes a bit rough for Adrenaline is that obviously the Ice Dogs took the puck and went down the other end, got a goal. That's, that
it's that double whammy.
Yeah, literally.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
No, I totally agree with that. I thought there was nothing conclusive enough to go, oh, yeah, if you had video replays, yeah, you could overturn that. I think if the call on the ice was no goal, then you're probably going to keep it as a no goal. If the call on the ice was a goal, then yeah, you could definitely leave it as that. But yeah, I just think it is what it is, and unfortunately for Adelaide, it just another thing that for a suffering fan base for the year. So hopefully they'll be able to pick up again this weekend and have some different fortune. Steve does put out a good comment here. Most rinks don't have clear lines. That is something which also plays a issue if you're ever going to bring in any review system, is that there's a lot of rinks that don't have fantastic lines to say anything. But yeah, Melissa says I think it was a goal, and that's fair enough. I think everyone is going to have different opinions on that. But in the end, really important win for the Ice Dogs after the first loss they had, so against the Rhinos the day before. So yeah, really keeps them in the hunt for finals, and I think they're still the holders of their own destiny at the moment. So that's good for them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Do we want to move on to some quick topics before we get into the preview?
Yeah.
Obviously, there wasn't a lot of topics this week. There was an announcement, speaking of Adelaide, that they've got a game change time for the 9th of August versus the Lightning. It's only been pushed back half an hour. It's not massive. But yeah, not a lot of details in the public announcement. But yeah, I was told, at least anyway, we were told that it is for something pretty cool. So yeah, any Adrenaline fans or any Lightning fans who are going to be going to that game, yeah, stay tuned to Adrenaline socials. I'm sure you'll hear more details at some point, and yeah, it should be good.
That should be nice at the end of like a tough season as well. If there is something that sort of can give those guys a boost for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and because South Australia has a very proud history of ice hockey, and yeah, some absolute legends of the game. And then, yeah, obviously the Ice Dogs also announced this week that they raised over $20,000 for the Macquarie University Motor Neuron Disease Research Centre. An amazing result from the double header weekend they had last weekend. But it's definitely not the only money raised this year from teams. Court, how have you found Newcastle's fundraising this year? I feel like every team has been raising a lot of money this year.
Yeah, Newcastle hasn't done a lot.
No,
unless I'm forgetting.
I'm
so tired tonight, I have to admit. No, we little bit less this year. We do have a trivia night coming up on the 6th of August, just to plug that. But yeah, no, I think I actually just want to go back to what they were raising for. I think this year more than ever, I've sort of woken up to how M&D is actually affecting more teams. So I've known a few people that have passed because of this disease, and then there's quite a few currently in the community who have it, and it's just out there a lot more than I realized. So and extended outside of just a couple of people that are in Newcastle. So there's a few Melbourne, obviously the Ice Dogs. So yeah, it's just one of those things that's just becoming very predominant, and it's a bit scary.
Yeah. I must admit, I did really like the hashtag for this campaign as well, the puck MND. I thought that was a really good hashtag for hockey to take up.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, I must admit, I've been enjoying, all the teddy bear tosses around the places to raise money for different causes. They obviously had the special preseason games in Melbourne as well. Jersey auctions, merch stores, you name it. There seemed to be a lot of charity happening around the community this year. And yeah, it's always great to see everyone chip in and help out those in need.
Yeah,
I think from the outside as well, again, I keep going back to this being my first season, but that in itself, the socials and things like that, and actually watching the games, that's another thing that's been really apparent to me as a first time fan. How much they actually do, how much you guys do in the teams and things like that do for these charities, which again was very eye opening, because the league that I watch, they will do like charity games, one-off games, and sell the jerseys and things like that. But to hear the amount of money that the Ice Dogs raised for MND was unbelievable. And the scale of the teddy tosses and things like that. Like, I think there was, I watched a slow-mo video. I think it might have been Perth where Hikasaka scored and just sort of did this, and thousands of teddy bears just raised. And there was like interviews backstage where there's like one player and there's like hundreds of teddies stacked behind him. Like, the impact of that for those children, and it's just amazing. Like it's so heartwarming. It's great.
Yeah, I'm glad to see more teams take it up too. I like Claire's thing here. Teddy bear tosses should be a yearly thing league-wide. I totally agree. And yes, Sky comes up with saying that, over $10,000 raised in Melbourne and jersey sales. How amazing is that? And they raised over $30,000. I think it might have been almost $50,000 earlier pre-season as well for their causes. So, just amazing results.
Yeah.
Unreal.
And the last topic I had this week, guys, before we get into the preview, was Sydney Bears signed a new partnership with a radio station, Catter. I must admit, I don't know that radio station. It's probably a very Sydney radio station, but a multi-year partnership. They're going to have regular interviews, content, and giveaways. That's pretty amazing. More exposure for the sport and obviously the Sydney Bears and the league. Seems to be becoming more mainstream every week.
Yes.
Yes. But I mean, you guys in Newcastle, you guys have always had like strong local community, local media content for the league and for the North Stars. But it's good to see other teams doing that now too and getting that.
Yeah, it just takes a bit of effort, really. So I work on the back of like Ellie and Pete Lambert, who built up a database over years of people that we email, and after every game we send out an email and hit all of the radio station, like anyone that's media. I have like an email list and literally just give them the hot points of whether we won or lost, who were the stars of the event, what was some key points of the game, couple of photos, couple of quotes, and then some places will run articles and just pull the information from what I send. Some will talk about the radio, and it's just putting in the effort to create those connections, find the emails. Some of them are personal emails, some of them are generic, and some of the generic emails turn into a reply that says, hey, please email our sports person or please email our news person and put them on your list so they get it directly. And it's just having people on the media team that put in that effort and then reach out and send them the details. So there's lots of reasons we hash it out kind of every week, and we have these conversations every week about different reasons that people are coming to the league. Doogie like has sort of shown us over the years how we've always had a big fan base. We've always had lots of people coming to the games. Then you get your nationals tournaments, then you get your Olympics, and then you've got hockey TV shows, and you've got whatever reason that's attracting people. It's just making sure you get yourself into the market where people are watching. What are they looking at? What social media are they looking at? What news are they listening to make them go, hey, we've got it here in Australia. Come and watch.
Yeah, and I think the AIHL has also restarted their more regular radio segment down in Melbourne as well with Stephen White, and that's also great to see as well. More exposure. But yeah, we now just need the bigger facilities to be able to put everyone up and so everyone can experience hockey here. Yeah. It's pretty amazing though, because it's interesting because both the UK and Australia are nations which aren't predominantly ice hockey nations, but the sport does seem to be rising in both places.
I'd agree with that 100%, and I think again going back to what Court just said, and those individuals putting that effort into raise the profile is so important. Things like this, the weekly streams that you guys do, podcasts, social media, and things like that. It's all for the greater good of the sport, isn't it? But I definitely agree. From when I started watching 5 years ago, when there was no coverage at all, to even now in our league, there's maybe 3 or 4 podcasts just about a semi-professional league in the second tier of England. So, if we can all keep pushing in that direction and sort of, building it. One thing that Anthony Russell always says is build each other up, push each other on, which I think is great. And I don't think it should ever be a case of they're our rivals or we're competing against them. We're not competing. We're all pushing for the same thing to raise the profile of ice hockey. And if we're all doing that, then we're all doing the best thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Spot on. And it's all of the, to me, it's, you know, it's banners on the wall that have been following for the last, I think Anthony told us maybe the last 10 or more years.
Yeah.
Over 10 years. He's been around longer than I have. So more than 10. You know, yourself, Rossy, doing Slapshot Syndicate. It's, you know, Doogie and Gigi starting Hockey Hype that Sean and I have been able to continue. It's people that love the sport sharing what we love and getting it out there further. So it's so important, and you know, it's looking out for each other. It's like I've loved this season having yourself on tonight, having Anthony on, and just sort of being able to reach the UK market in another level, because all of your fans hopefully are watching and then getting to know us and then getting to know our platform, and then it's just sharing the love around a bit more, as opposed to going, oh, we're the media, it's us, you know, we're Oz Hockey Media, it's only us telling the stories. So, you know, let's just put a comment in that nails it. It's like passion opens doors. People that love what they do, it you just see it radiates out of them, and you bring more people in. So yeah,
it's like the comment here from the Ice Dogs. Actually, the other big opportunity is with new media like podcasts and content creators, as more people get their content from these types of media sources these days, and that's true too. That's why, you know, what we do, all our content creators, we all play an important role in helping this, as well as local media, national media. You know, you've got to have a strategy that covers everything. You can't just concentrate on one thing and one thing only, because then you'll miss a lot of people.
Yeah.
And yeah, Brent says the product is good, big for local media, too big for local media to ignore. And yeah, that's true too. I think in Canberra, the Canberra Brave are now the third largest sporting, you know, ticket that you can buy. They they bring in, you know, a lot of fans, 3,000 fans every game. They always sell out, and you know, the only teams that bring in more people than that are the Raiders in the rugby league and the Brumbies in the rugby union. So it's a big deal.
I just while we're sort of talking media, I just want to go to Claire's comment about so the AIHL socials have been run by a guy named Bianca, and she's been phenomenal. I think it's the best league socials I've seen in quite a few years that I can recall. She's just so active, she's so on the ball, she's coming up with interesting comments, interesting posts, looking for just little quirky things that happen in games. And yeah, I think she's been brilliant and been a big part of that growth. I think she's been, you know, instrumental, and, you know, I kind of hope she jumps on board and does the women's league too.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I think
that out there.
one thing about that as well that I'd just like to chip in as well. As a new fan of something, it's always the best thing you can have is good socials of that league or whatever you're watching. And I think whenever I speak to people from the UK, I always point them in the direction of you guys and the AIHL in terms of like their Instagram, just because it's probably the app where everyone's most active, but also you can see what the AI especially and yourselves, you can see what everybody's doing, you know, and in a league, or there's teams in our league that don't post on a weekly basis, which for their fans is so frustrating. But when I was jumping into the AIHL and I followed the AIHL and you guys, I was getting posts every day, which was helping me sort of get used to these teams. Who's this guy? What's this team? And that seems interesting. I'll go give them a follow. Oh, they've got an Instagram page. I'll go give them a follow. It made it so easy, and I think the word that I think for that is just effective. Like, it's effective in getting new fans in. It's effective in helping you understand the league. It's effective in making me want to then buy next month's subscription as well, or I'm just going to pay for the rest of the season now. Without that, it makes it a lot tougher.
Yeah, no, true. It is something which has obviously been something that's worked on for a long time, like especially team socials as well. Like Claire makes a point, you know, the recent Dogs video was brilliant, and I've actually found the video content league-wide this year to be next level compared to what it used to be. and it adds a lot to the social space. So, posts, news updates, videos, all of this, and now you've got Bianca with the AIHL, who's like posting heaps of clips all the time, and it really adds a lot of excitement for for people who are more casual, who might not get to go to all the games or follow one team, but also then want to just check out on some of these other things. Oh, what a great goal in a different game from a different team that I don't watch. But you can appreciate that. Yeah, I know, it's awesome. Anthony does say 2009 Goodall Cup semi-final. That was his first time watching 42 on Sunday, and he feels old. Well, happy birthday for Sunday, Anthony.
Well, 6 years ahead of me.
I hope you have a good weekend and get to enjoy some hockey action. And Sky, touching on the fact that we talked about the women's game before, the AWHL will have their schedule out next month, and I know you will go back to UK hockey, Rossy, but in our off season we do have the women, our top league over here, and it's always great fun watching the AW as well.
Love that. In the UK, our women's leagues are really good as well. It's a really good standard as well. So maybe I'll have to put that on the list as well.
It should be on YouTube. So
it normally is, yeah.
Easily accessible.
Love that.
Yes, and Anthony's right. AW and Doogie is going to be on overdrive. That's right. With his 6-stub channel. So if anyone wants to know about AW action, Doogie's socials and 6-stub, they're just the places to be for everything with the women's game. So awesome work. All right, guys, let's get into the preview for this weekend. Obviously, no Friday game. What's going on? We got 6 games over Saturday and Sunday, 3 on each day. ESPN game this round is the Mustangs Lightning from the Ice House. Rossy, you looking forward to this?
I'm looking forward to watching the game. I don't know if I'm looking forward to the result, but no, I'm confident. That's the beauty of the league, isn't it? I can't say the Mustangs are definitely going to beat the Lightning. It's just not a guarantee in this league.
Exactly.
I'm really hoping that Crane and Lindell and a couple of the others have an off night, but for selfishly for the Lightning. But 2 teams that I've really enjoyed watching this season. When I've not watched Lightning games, like I said earlier, I've been watching the Mustangs and the Ice Dogs. So this will be a nice one, and I know that obviously the stream's really, really good. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
the stream down in Melbourne's always top quality. ATC do a really good job down there, and it should be a good game too. I'm expecting lots of goals, I think, knowing it's a Lightning game, but and Mustangs, they also either score or concede lots of goals themselves. So it should be a lot of fun, and I know I fancy the Lightning actually.
I'm glad. That makes 3 of us then.
I mean, my reason is I don't want the Mustangs to get any more points. They're too close to the top as it is. So they could, Lightning could put in a little upset and stop them from getting a few extra points. And then Newcastle beat Perth and just give ourselves a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah, that's nice.
Please and thank you.
I did see the Mustangs. They are celebrating NAIDOC round this week, so they've got quite a few socials out about NAIDOC, their NAIDOC round, and just after NAIDOC week had been. So it's pretty cool. I don't know. Do you know if they got a special jersey? I don't know if they got a special jersey for this one. But anyway, doesn't matter. It should be a great game. And what a game to be on ESPN. I think this will be the Lightning's first game on ESPN.
Yeah.
What game are you really looking forward to this weekend?
Well, the obvious one, the Newcastle Perth. I think that one's going to be full of surprises. I think it's going to be pretty close. Both teams have been playing they've been trending up. So I I get to talk to the captain and coach at the end of each home game, and look, they're both looking forward to seeing what this team looks like. It is the first clash of these two teams, and I think that's hilarious is the wrong word, but I just think the way the season has gone, to have a clash when they're both so high up on the table, points are so crucial, and it's the first time we're meeting them now, presents some challenges. If we'd played one game earlier in the season and sort of had an idea, even then, the way teams played at the start of the season is not how they're playing now. So everything in this league is up in the air. But I think that game is going to be super interesting.
I'm dubbing this game the Clash of the Titans, by the way.
Love that.
I like it. Outside of that, I think, Lightning's got a bit of a battle. They've got a double in Melbourne, but it's a double in Melbourne, so they should be able to be pretty fresh. They're going to rest well. They don't have to do, the travel is either happening now or first thing in the morning. They'll be a bit if they can recover well, they should do pretty well against the ice. I'd love to see Lightning just create, we talked about this at the start of the pod. I'd love Lightning to create an upset for two teams that are really pushing their way up that ladder and pinch that 6 points away from them. And they both, Mustangs and Ice need to not underestimate them, because this could be the weekend that the Lightning just flick a switch and something changes and they're just able to get more goals than the others.
And they did that earlier in the year too. You remember right near the start of the season when the Melbourne Ice travelled up to Brisbane and everyone was just expecting the Melbourne Ice to get 2 wins and they got neither. The Lightning had probably their best weekend of the season, and they absolutely dominated, and it was really, really crazy to see, and they can do it anytime, and I really hope Hobbs is back. Tanner is amazing.
Yeah, I think that.
I really like your video with Tanner too, Rossy. I learned so much about him.
I really enjoyed that one too. there was so many candidates from Brisbane that I could have spoke to. Again, Tanner was one that he really early on with the AI video. I think he was the first person to send me videos over with his answers to his questions, followed by Batu, and I was like, these guys are nice. And then that sort of was a little seed for the Lightning as well. But yeah, great guy. I don't know whether he might be on his honeymoon this weekend. Maybe not. But yeah.
You can wait to the end of the season too.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Maybe off the wife.
I do like William's comment here. Don't mean to be biased, but the Battle of the Wilson Cup between the Sydney teams should be the game of the round. Look, it's going to be a massive game. I can't believe that there's a Sydney derby on a Saturday. Why is this not a Friday night game?
It has thrown me out a little bit. This is the first. I just broke off for the summer from my job, and I was really looking forward to a Friday morning coffee and putting the AI on. Check the schedule. There was nothing. I was like, what's going on here then?
Yeah, it seems crazy, but unlike because the Melbourne teams, they play all 4 derbies on Friday nights, but the Sydney teams they seem to play 2 derbies on Friday nights and then 2 on Saturdays. I don't know why, but I really just want more Friday night games. So I really wish they would move this. But anyway,
I second that.
But yeah, also not being the ESPN game. Obviously, they've already had a Sydney derby as the ESPN game earlier, but yeah. It should be fun though. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think there's a lot riding on this for both the Ice Dogs and the Bears. Both are desperate for wins.
Yeah, they're both going to want the points particularly with Melbourne Ice creeping up the ladder. I think both of them will be desperate for as many points out of this weekend as they can get.
Yeah. I don't know. Who would you predict, Court?
Oh, I hate this bit. I'm never good at it. Come back to me.
We're doing our predictor now. This is the first round of the predictor.
Ross, who would you predict in the Sydney derby this weekend?
I've got, because of the special teams, I'm going to lean towards Ice Dogs.
I think that's good.
But then that's the thing, isn't it? Obviously, they lost the derby. The Ice lost the derby. Then the next night they put up 8 goals against the Bears, didn't they? So it's such a roll of the dice.
And I'm sure the Bears are going to be desperate to come back and not do what they did last weekend and perform really big this weekend. And not just because it's a derby, because their season, it's I can't think of the right word, relies on it. They need to get the wins now.
Yeah.
Because any chance to overtake the Ice, they're going to have to put their own points up and hope someone else, knocks off the Ice. So real hard. And it's interesting because the Bears can be a bit more unpredictable this year too, because a lot of their scoring this year is coming from a lot of their youngsters who don't necessarily always perform every single game. It makes them much harder to predict.
Yeah,
it does.
But anyway, it should be good. And then obviously the Lightning are playing the Ice again on this weekend as well, so they're playing both Melbourne teams. That should be a pretty good game. A lot riding on it.
The derby of me and Anthony Russell, eh? We'll have to come up with some sort of name for that.
I like this. Guys actually put in a prediction. OT win for the Ice Dogs. Look, it could definitely go to overtime. We haven't had too many overtime games recently, but would love it. They're always so exciting. Just as long as it doesn't go to a shootout where it was like in Perth earlier this year, where there's like 20 billion.
Oh god.
Claire's got a question here. I also think Rossy needs to tell us who to watch in the UK. Rossy?
In terms
maybe that could be a good special episode that we can share.
Yeah.
Introducing the NIHL rather than
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, each stream ticket in our league is like £16, which is how much it costs for a month worth of it's less than that for a month's worth of AI. So maybe follow the social media pages instead.
Wow, that is expensive. I have heard that it's expensive to watch hockey over in the UK.
I think it costs. I'm a season ticket holder, so I don't really see the individual ticket prices. But I think for an individual ticket, it's about £19. Which, that's to go to the game. So to stream a game, it's £15-16, which is a lot. And again, this is one of the things that I keep stressing to everybody. The AIHL is £15 a month, and you get umpteen amount of games. You can go back to 3-4 seasons ago. Like, why is this not happening? The guy that I interviewed this week, he said that the AI has the best video that he's ever of a league that he's ever played for, and I think obviously that there'll be more to that in terms of when they're actually doing video themselves as a team. But if you want to check out who you're playing this weekend, you can go on the AIHL app and watch their games, and I think it's just so accessible, and it actually frustrates me. Like me and one of my other friends who watches, he doesn't have social media or like podcasts and things like that, but we've been talking about it quite a lot. We constantly say to each other, why do we not have this? Why does the NIHL not have this? Why does the Elite League not have this? Why is there not a weekly show that's showing the highlights and things like that? It's because again, some teams' social medias are rubbish, and I don't mean to slander and things like that, but I can't watch highlights from a game that happened because they're not uploading them. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that our league has worked on quite a lot over the last couple of years. Like, the league does put out a weekly highlights package. Now they've also got highlights for the intermissions of games and everything. Like, all of this brings a lot more content to people that otherwise might not see it. It's great to see. Anthony does say, our derby is in football, Rossy. Come on, Bournemouth.
That's Hull City.
Southampton? Should he be a Southampton fan?
Hull City versus Bournemouth screams action, doesn't it? That screams 0-0 stinker. I don't want that one. I want the Ice and the Lightning, I think.
I tell you what, when I went to the UK, I watched 13 football games in 4 weeks and one hockey game. And I remember going to watch Stoke on a cold Monday night versus Swansea.
That's a spectacle, that. But the key question is, could Stoke do it on a cold Monday night in Swansea?
They did. And Mark Hughes was the coach and they got the win.
There you go. Love that.
I still remember the ladies at the train station couldn't believe that 2 Aussie lads had turned up to Stoke
and Swansea. Wow, fair enough.
But yeah, good times. But anyway, getting back onto the hockey. So big weekends this weekend. Court, any player you reckon is going to have a big weekend this week?
I'm going to answer you in the opposite. Okay. I hope that Yuka Saka does not have a big weekend.
Ooh. He's quiet his weekend.
Yeah, that would be great. They just need to do North Stars just need to shut them down the way that Bouchard was shut down. No point weekend.
Rossy, who do you think is going to have a big weekend this week?
Just to comment on Court's comment there as well. I think that's highly, highly unlikely.
Oh, I know. I'm aware.
Selfishly, going towards the Lightning and things like that, I think that it could be Mr. Crane again. I think that he could have a pretty decent weekend. He's the one that I'm fearing in terms of the Mustangs versus the Lightning. He's the Brody Lindahl as well. I think as well a bit of the light has gone off him a little bit. He's just been able to go about his business, how he wants to, which probably will benefit him. But yeah, both the Brodies I'm fearing a little bit.
All right, I'm gonna go home this week, and I'm gonna predict Ratcliffe to have a massive game against the Ice Dogs at the AIS. I think it'll be really good for the home fans. I love his like narrow angle goals this year. He's sort of got it down pat. They're fantastic to watch. I'm gonna go with that. That would be great. We do have a couple of comments saying, what is the competition in Australia called? It's called the Australian Ice Hockey League, the AIHL. And what kind of attendance do you guys get? Similar to baseball in Australia, about 1,000. It really depends on the arena. Like the arena behind me, the AIS Arena in Canberra, we get 3,000 people every game. And then you've got small rinks like in Brisbane, which I can't even remember the actual capacity of Brisbane, but it would probably be under 1,000 or around 1,000. So, and that would be similar in Newcastle and other rinks as well. So, it really comes down to the rink size. But one thing is for sure, every rink is getting packed out every week.
Newcastle's 800 capacity.
Okay, 800. Yeah, but you guys pack them in like people standing, right?
Yes. Yeah, we'll have like 3 or 4 rows of people in the standing section, which is awesome.
Love that.
And then, Brent here, Jake.
I
like that.
If anyone doesn't know, Brent works for the Braves, so it's good. It's good to see him in the comments and repping the Brave here. What a champion! And someone says, I think 550 for Brisbane. Yeah, I think it's probably the smallest rink in the league.
Yeah.
Maybe Adelaide. No, Adelaide has more because they open more capacity around the back end.
Yeah, they've got a bit more withstanding as well. So, but no, Brisbane's very small.
If anywhere in the league needs new facilities, I reckon it'll be Brisbane. If you could get a bigger rink in Brisbane, you would attract so many more people. They always seem so passionate up there. I just think it's a prime market to get more people to come, which is great. It's good to see.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for the show tonight. Obviously. Let's go to final words. Court, you got any final words?
Yeah, look, week in and week out, we're so grateful for everyone that jumps in the comment section, that's just engaging with the podcast and chatting to us while we're live. We appreciate you, and it's nice to know we got an audience out there, and what we do is something people enjoy watching. And don't forget to jump on our socials and like and share and follow all of the amazing posts that Sean does week in and week out. He just works so hard to get this information out to you guys. And the more you interact with it, the more we know what you want to see and what you want to hear about, and the more we can keep pushing out for you. So and especially thank you to Rossy. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time. Well, this morning in your time zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming along, Rossy. It's been fantastic to have you on today. And yeah, I know it's it always takes a bit of work to organize these when you're in completely different time zones, but nah, it's been really a great insight into UK hockey as well as UK people watching the AIHL.
And I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys. You guys have been massively influential in terms of my understanding of the league. Your social medias are amazing. Like I say, you guys are usually on during my working day, which is rubbish. But now that I'm off, I'm getting to catch it every week, which is great. I have been catching up like 8 hours later, but yeah, no. Massive thank you to you guys as well, because you've been sharing around our posts and helping us get out there as well. And the AIHL is such an amazing league, and it's something that I'm so glad that I took a chance on. So again, thank you to you guys. Thank you to Anthony for putting it on my radar. But keep doing what you're doing, guys. It's amazing. And like I say, I'll always be an advocate for you, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat.
Thanks, Rossy. And for everyone in the audience, please get on and like and subscribe to the Slapshot Syndicate on your socials and on YouTube. Some fantastic content, and we're going to get more AI interviews, and that's so great. And perhaps we can do a reversal about so Australian fans can learn more about UK hockey. I think that's a really cool idea.
100%. Let's get it started.
The final comments on here. Brent says, I may have watched this pod from the bench in the past, allegedly.
I love that. I love that.
Love that.
And Sky, Brisbane has a bar upstairs that could easily fit more, but they are not allowed to due to fire safety. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they could definitely work on something up there. That would be amazing. More people in Brisbane games would be phenomenal. And yeah, thanks, Sean, Courtney, Rossy. Thank you, Sky. Thank you for everyone. Up the syndicate. All right, Rossy. We'll catch up with you again soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Enjoy your weekend of hockey action. Get out to the rinks. Turn on AHL.tv. If you can't, enjoy all the hockey. Ciao.